cars are going to do the same, including Brett Yulden, who's coming in the HQ Monaro. But we're set to go racing in the Peter Dixon Touring Car Masters. They're back at home at Bathurst. Here comes the green light. We're about to go racing here in race number 2, round 5 of this year's series.
Imagine trying to put 700 horsepower to the ground in wet conditions through a really narrow Hoosier tyre. And let's have a look at how Bruce Williams goes. Jeremy Gray is sideways. Angus Fogg and Stephen Johnson are wheel to wheel. Ryle Harris in the mix. A couple of Mustangs and a Camaro fighting for track position on the run up the hill.
So Fogg parks it down the middle of the road for the first time. Johnson on the outside. Harris in the red EFS Camaro. They stay side by side through Blundstone Bend. They tiptoe their way up the mountain for the first of 6 laps, and everybody's safely through, with several cars in the pit switching to the wet Hoosier tyre here on lap number 1.
These two at it again, still side by side. The run into the cutting, and Johnson committed hard to that, held his line. He had wheel spin coming out of Griffin's, but managed to get the power to the ground. They're all skating around as they go towards Reed Park. This is Adam Bressington. They've all got such good car control. They are going to be passengers across the top.
And still not tempted to use that windscreen wiper aboard that number 95 car for White Line Racing. Much wetter up on top of the mountain here. Just gives you an idea on how big this Mount Panorama circuit is. So anybody who was on the slick tyres will be thinking right now it's time to go back to the pits, while the Kiwi Angus Fogg leads us through McPhillamy Park and down through Skyline. Johnson right on the tail. Harris runs in 3rd position. It's his debut season in the category. He's had a couple of races, but we know how good Ryle Harris is behind the wheel of any race car.
Yeah, he's a hugely talented race car driver. Spoke to his team boss, Brett Peters, after race 1, and he himself was just thrilled about how they raced across the top. He said he couldn't believe how good it was. Got balked a little bit, but it was an amazing battle. He's 3rd at the moment.
Boys, sometimes you can roll the dice and it goes the wrong way here. I'm down in the pit lane with the 135 out of the race. They've changed from wets to slicks in the dummy grid out the back of the pit area here, and unfortunately the heavens have come open. But this is an old school wheel change. Trolley jack under the centre of the car, 5 lug nuts on the wheels there to hold them on. The wets are going on, and then we'll have to put those nuts back on. Not only do they have to do them up by hand there, but they'll come through with a torque wrench to make sure they're up to the right spec. Pretty cool to see. This is like going back in time.
Andy Jones in pit lane. They'll go a lap down in the process here. Love the way they kept that part of it, the old school jack. But now they'll go a lap down with the leader. See the difference here. We get down to the bottom of Murray's, absolutely bone dry compared to the conditions we saw at Sulman Park and McPhillamy. As through comes Angus Fogg to complete the first lap here, and has a handy margin back to Steve Johnson, who runs in 2nd. Harris is 3rd. Get back to Stakanovic, who's having a strong run today aboard the XD Falcon. And now we see some of the cars that decided to dive in the pits rejoin the circuit as our leaders start lap 2.
Greg Cutton's just leaving pit lane in the Red Roo replica car, the 82 Dick Johnson tribute livery. He's a big fan of the great man, multiple Bathurst champion, of course. Floating around. It's cool to see him doing the demo laps in the Ford Mustang this weekend. Marcus Stakanovic looking down the inside of Ryle Harris, who's dropped off the back of Stephen Johnson a long way, and even locking a break up into Griffin's Bend. This is a big move from Stakanovic, who's got a lot of confidence in these conditions. So the Z-Man's got by Adam Bressington. He's trying to do the same to Ryle Harris. This is for a spot on the podium.
A great equaliser, isn't it, these conditions? Great to see the Z-Man having a strong run in this category. Debuted this car a little over 12 months ago at Sandown. It found the wall in only its 2nd race. It put it out of business for a bit. But now the development in season 2019 has seen this car really hit its straps. We'll stay in car as we climb the mountain with Adam Bressington here on lap 2. Patient was he, applying the throttle past the Shannon's Insurance wall cam. And again, it's like driving into a different country up here.
It is. It's wet down the bottom, but it's probably more damp than actually torrential. This is really bad at the top. They're working hard just to stay in a straight line. See the amount of water they're dispersing. Everyone in the supercar paddock will be watching this big slide from Stakanovic getting down towards the dipper. They'll all be hoping that the rain clears and this starts drying the circuit. Armour qualifying coming your way very, very soon. Back on board with Bresso. Let's have a listen to the throttle application coming out of the elbow. Be pretty ginger, I imagine.
the wheel spin. Mid-gear change as it went through the kink and down Conrod Straight. Speed still up there, 267 kilometres an hour in the wet conditions. Into the chase as he continues on the back of Sakanovic. Let's head back down to the pits.
Andrew Anderson, mate, you had an awesome run this morning. How come you parked up in the pit lane here?
Oh, look, it took us a lot of effort to get here, and the conditions, I just didn't want to risk it. I owe too many people too many favours, and guys, this one's for you. She's nice and straight.
Thanks, mate. Very simple answer. Thanks, bud.
A lot of cars that have made the transit across from New Zealand. Some ran with the ITM Auckland Super Sprint just a few weeks ago. As now Sakanovic looking to make the pass stick down pit straight on Ryle Harris. Harris will make him work for it. Former V8 Ute stars in the day. They'll go side by side into Hell Corner.
Great bit of racing. Marcus Sakanovic had his week picks this morning. He's fired up. They've been chasing a vibration for 12 months in this car. They finally got to the bottom of what it was, and it was a tail shaft out by 5 mil. Wow. That was it, and it was making the car almost undrivable and causing them huge setup issues, but they're finally on top of it. This is down the bottom at Murray's Corner, and it's Andrew Fisher, who's had a pretty tough day making his debut in Holden. I wonder if the Ford gods are punishing him for changing brands.
I think that might be the case. Found the tyre wall in the earlier race. He was chasing Peter Burnett just ahead and just locked the rears coming in to Murray's and in front of Cameron Tilley as well. Tilley on the binders and almost got the front of the Tirana, and same too for guess who? Aaron McGill.
What a moment. Just got out of the way. And he started this race on slick tyres, McGill, so that would have been a pretty hairy moment.
Just looking from the top of pit straight. The Jesus number 9, look at Tilley. How close was that? We both closed our eyes here in the commentary box. We don't want to see that pacer with a mark on it. And he rejoins the race. Well down the field does Policina. Down the mountain comes Angus Fogg leading from Steve Johnson, Marcus Sakanovic, and Ryle Harris, the top 5, halfway home here on the mountain.
And Fogg's margin 1.8 seconds. Rusty French, Griffin's Bend, trying to get his car turned around. It's completely blind on the exit of that corner. And there's an escape road there that hopefully he can get out of harm's way. There's Brett Yulden just coming into shot. So I think we're all right. Yulden was one of the cars that started this race on slick tyres, so he's out of harm's way. And you can see the rain pouring down. That's at the top of Mountain Straight. So that's 1.8 kilometres in a straight line from where we are. 1.3 kilometres, I should say. It's not raining down the bottom of the pit building here, Matt Nolte, but at the top of Mountain Straight, quite heavy rain.
Let's put a mark in the front of that Sky Sands car as well.
Quite heavy hit, wasn't it?
Yeah,
for the
McGill.
Bend barrier.
McGill just loves the highlights, doesn't he? Sideways in a Bluntstone Bend, and Rusty wasn't really out towards the apex. He wouldn't be in those conditions, and just enough gas to put it into the wall on the right-hand side. Thankfully, he's got that car out of harm's way, and we continue on with the race out in front. Angus Fogg with nearly 3 seconds to Johnson. Sakanovic. We go back to this battle now between Bressington and Harris. Bressington forcing it down the inside. Whoa, Harris was lucky. He's on the white lines. He's going down the escape road.
That's bad, obviously, but it's bad from a championship context because he's throwing points away to Stephen Johnson. The Kiwi cars aren't scoring TCM points this weekend. So if Johnson finishes where he is second on the road, he gets the full allocation of 60 points for the victory. Marcus Sakanovic next, and Harris now 6 spots further down the road. So this will be quite a big swing back to the advantage of the championship leader, just as it was starting to close in and look really feisty. He just got on the painted white line in the braking zone into turn 1. Car slid, got it stopped. He could have been much worse. He could have ended up down the escape road. Back on the road to those amazing campgrounds that we saw at the start of the race that are absolutely packed. It's not where he wants to be. And that's a big moment for Ryle Harris. That car clearly has a very dry weather setup and a very wet weather motor race.
So Fogg and Johnson, that's the margin. It's daylight back to Sakanovic at some 12 seconds now. Second to third. Here comes the XD Falcon with the battle pack behind of Bressington and Seaton, son of Glenn Seaton, and hoping to get a win next to his name. Glenn's won here 3 times over the years. We work lap 4 or 6.
This is a super drive from Adam Bressington. He shines at this place. Bathurst brings out the best in some people, and Adam Bressington is one of them. And the VDC White Line Racing Camaro, Bob Middleton's very experienced team, is always quick here. He drives it so well. In these really difficult conditions, he's putting up a really good fight in front of young gun Aaron Seaton, who's been the fastest guy since joining the category earlier on this season.
One of the new young guys coming up in Painter Dixon Touring Car Masters. In car now with John Bow down Conrod Straight. So back down the field in 6th position. Back at Mount Panorama, down through the chase. Here comes our third place man. They've lost a lot of touch with the front two guys, but it's Seaton and Bressington we're keeping an eye on here. The battle pack for 4th and 5th position. The closing stages of the Painter Dixon Touring Car Masters here at Mount Panorama today. Angus Fogg's lead is out to 3.2 seconds on Stephen Johnson. Very wet conditions at the top and just starting to get a little bit damp down the bottom of the mountain here. Yeah,
the rain encroaching the full circuit now, Matt. To show you how much they're struggling last time around, the leader, Angus Fogg, 2:43.1. Extended his margin over Stephen Johnson. It's now 4.2. This morning, he set a new lap record at a 2:16.2. So they're miles off dry weather pace.
Peter Burnett, the Lighthouse Hotel entry down at Forest Elbow. So he might have just got the wall there.
That's a massive shame. He was running 12th, having a super drive. Former V8 Ute racer.
There's a lot of them in this category now. It's great to see.
With a great migration over, wasn't it?
Yes. New Zealand cars going through the shot and struggling to get that car away from the scene of the incident there at Forest Elbow, dropping down the order to 21st position. With 2 laps remaining here in this rain-affected race, now we start to enter the lap traffic. It's now Angus Fogg tiptoes his way around the top of Salmon Park with a 3.8 second lead. But they've got light years back to Marcus Sukanovic, who's in 3rd.
And this is where he's going to lose some ground. He's limping across the top in this traffic. And if you go offline there, you're going to be in massive pain. And Johnson's just taken 2 seconds out of him straight away. The gap between Reed Park and McPhillamy. And now that the lap cars are aware that the leaders are trying to work their way through, they'll dive out of the way. Let's go back and have a look at Blunston Bend. Turn 2, Aaron McGill. Remember, he was on slick tyres, rolled the dice. And Rusty French with a very, very large moment. Just having a look at whether that car was on slicks, but I'm pretty certain he was one of the guys that went out on wet tyres. But so difficult to put almost 700 horsepower to the ground. Wasn't quite as wide as he could have been perhaps on the exit of the corner, and on the throttle, the car just snapped straight away. It's such a knife's edge.
So we believe that McGill is on slicks. So replay down here at Forest Elbow. Bressington barely touching the throttle. In fact, it missed the gear. And now, Ryle Harris goes past him in the process. But there's more to this story heading down Conrod Straight.
You can see the lights of Aaron Seaton in the mirror of Adam Bressington, but this is a good bit of racing. So after missing a gear at the top, straight line performance, pretty handy for the White Line Camaro. Goes past on the entry to the chase, and they were wheel to wheel through the kink. That's great racing. We've seen such brilliant car control from Painter Dixon Touring Car Master today. The quality of racing has been just outstanding.
Well driven by everybody in this race today. Very tricky conditions. Harris has dropped down to 7th outside of these replays. He's down in John Bow territory now. But side by side into the chase. This was great to watch.
More often than not, you do that in wet conditions at this place in one of these cars, you end up in the gravel trap upside down on fire. But they're just driving so superbly with great awareness of everyone around them. We've seen more side-by-side in TCM today. That had a failure, surely.
Absolutely.
There was a steering issue, a failure. He might have clipped the fence at the dipper on the exit there. And that car just did not turn.
He went to turn left and it just went right on him. And that's why that car is parked down the bottom of the hill here. So it's a long process to get down the hill from that contact. Pretty much where Chaz Mostert had that crash in qualifying in the supercars back in 2015. And a second hit ensured that car would take no further part in this race.
It's quite a big impact. No wonder that car was unable to drive away. And we're hearing from race control, they've actually thrown this race one lap early ahead of time. So Angus Fogg wins the race in front of Stephen Johnson. And they're one apiece on a big Saturday. So that fight between Bressington and Harris was pretty key. And Ryle dropped a few spots towards the end of that race and crossed the line in 7th. So after that wheel-to-wheel battle, he came off the road or had a moment that's cost him some ground. And that's big from a championship point of view as well. And a swing further towards the leader, Stephen Johnson.
A stronger day tomorrow. It's the rest of the field taking the checkered flag. Ryan Hansford, who retired in the first race today, coming home for 18th position. And Aaron McGill on the slick tyre gets home for 19th. Not a bad effort.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, isn't it? A good drive. And this is how the race finished. So lapped cars clear through. Jeremy Gray in the Capri. That shows the battle pack at the bottom half of the top 10. So Freestone, Karen Volosky, that was 9th, 10th. Nick Ross in that amazing dodge. Across the line in 11th place. Jero Gray in the Ford Capri was next. And we'll look further back, that's Jim Policina. So Fogg and Johnson through at this point. Bressington on the podium in 3rd place. So Bressington got to Cannovic. Here's the leader. Nice drive. Margin in the end, 2.1 seconds. So Stephen J closed up towards the end. Adam Bressington rounds out the top 3.